Will AI be the future of television? Always a controversial topic, and if so, what will its impact be on our society? The American television industry, like other sectors of the economy, is becoming increasingly automated. While robots have been present on the set of TV shows for years, the recent development of artificial intelligence will have a dramatic impact on the way shows are produced. It's estimated that about a quarter of all jobs in the US are at risk of being replaced by robots in the next few years. So, but the twist in that is that that piece of text, which I just read out, was completely generated by AI. It's that. And it specifically, was generated by the new GPT-3 technology produced by OpenAI. The prompt, the words that I typed in were, "Will AI be the future of television?" And from that moment on, everything you see on screen there was not generated by me, but was generated by AI. So the premise of this show is that you meet this guy, the nasty piece of work, Hanson, and you are face to face with him. This is a screenshot from the actual production. So it is vital that, from our perspective as storytellers, we wanted to put you inside the story. He's looking at you at the same eye level. He's eyeballing you, you're eyeballing him, and we wanted to create a sense of what the emotional impact would be for you as an audience member to be talking to this guy. Not only just to be talking to him, but to be part of a storyline. So this is sort of how we map out our stories. And you know, many of you will be familiar with this sort of node-based angle. And if I go into a bit of a zoom into this particular piece, this is the heart of where our AI is. So that blue column on the left anticipates what the players are going to say, and we make it super easy for writers. So thumbs up, that single button, all you're doing is you're just checking a button, and that understands the concept of many different permutations of what thumbs up might mean, and gives a response on that basis. So my top tips, 3 tips for 3 years ahead. Number 1, more humans. We need to be more human focused on how we look at the developments of AI. As a collective, we know a lot about what we like, and we need to be clear about it. More creativity. Again, I'm a strong believer that if AI and these technologies are developed without the integrated contribution from the creative industries, then they will not be appropriate to the entire entertainment industries, and indeed will not resonate with humans in the right way. Specifically, creating a level of emotional support in our AI characters is vital, and there are plenty of research across different sectors that is available and that we're developing in R&D for how to put more creativity into the thought around these space. But most important of all is awareness. A lot of the really advanced AI developments are being developed and created without the general public being aware of what the implications are and the ethics around it. Countries like Finland are doing fantastically to educate an entire population around what these mean, but more needs to be done. More awareness of what this looks like, and along the same path, we'll be putting out a demo of a project which is exciting around GPT-2 and games, and how GPT in its broadest sense, and games, and how the two interact later on in 2020. So look forward to that.
Guy, you mentioned that you did, with your team, you went and looked at the different modes of storytelling, from immersive theatre and across different sort of forms, and you really drilled down into the core and the essence of what story was. Could you leave us with that thought? What was that core for you?
So, I think there were a couple of revelations. The first, funnily enough, the first revelation was that we needed to, our first step needed to be one that was taken as storytellers, not as technologists. And that was really, it sounds simple to do, but it's quite a religious decision to make. And I think that changed everything. That changed everything else that has followed. The second piece is slightly more nuanced, which is that if you think a story is made up of the story world, where the story happens, of the characters that are in the story world, and then the narrative, which is what happens to the characters. Different media and different stories balance those differently. Some are very story world focused. I mean, one could argue that the Harry Potter franchise could exist solely within Hogwarts and have new years of students coming every year. I suppose a bit like Ramsay Street or something. I mean, one can swap out the characters, right? That's one could say that there is a story world to that. Our world, because of the medium which we're in, which is the internet, which is a communications medium, favors characters very strongly. So much like we're talking now, the fact I've got this strange red wall behind me is largely, irrelevant. It doesn't contribute anything to this. It's about what I say. So as we are in this medium, and as conversation and dialogue is so strong, we focus on characters. And that was the other sort of step, was to focus on very character-driven storytelling. And what does that look like?
We do have one more question, so we'll sneak this one in, the very, very last one. It's hello, and thank you for your presentation. And I'm wondering, what is the demographic of your audience? The question is from Carmen.
It depends on the story, totally. So, the stuff I was doing when I was in Australia, it was around shows like Asher Keddy's show Offspring, which was in essence a mobile game. And we found that it was skewed 95% female for a mobile game, which wasn't surprising to us, but was surprising to a lot of people who thought the games were dominated by blokes, which they're not. So I think it's very story by story. I think where it gets more interesting is when you move away from metrics around demographics into psychographics and people's interests and what people's interests are, because a demographic is going to give you just a sort of almost like a physical picture of your audience, but a psychographic is going to define a bit more around what their interests are, and that can drive how you write the story. So it's, what sort of bad, good characters do you need? What sort of bad characters do you need? Do the bad characters have redeeming features? Because actually there's a moral ambiguity in that, it's those sorts of ways that I think are how we're starting to look at our audiences.